High-grade Universal Century Jesta Cannon. Hey, what's up again, everybody? It's Robert184, 2Rs2Bs, GundamReviews.net, and you've seen everything for the Jesta Cannon in the high-grade Universal Century, from the unbox, to the parts, to the MS in both of its cannon forms, and even in its vague Jesta form. Now it's time for some thoughts, good and bad, about this kit, so that you can make your own call whether you want to add it to, I'm sure, your blossoming UC collection. So let's talk turkey here, if that's the right word for negatives. I don't think so. Well, he's going to be in his half-pseudo-cannon mode there. First of all, the big knock I'd say against this kit is that he's not going to come across necessarily as dynamic. And that's the kind of thing that you'll always pick it out just from the box, because you know that Bandai has pro people who do nothing but pose Gundams well. And when they can't come up with that many interesting poses, well, you know that you're not going to be able to come up with that many. They don't show him off kneeling or anything like that. You just get an idea, but he can still do some cool stuff with him, but he's just not going to come across as an absolute monster of coolness, at least in the high grade. Another knock up against this guy is, check out that left forearm. It's big, it's bulky, it's gray, it's hollow, and yep, that's about it. It's not going to come across as that exciting. Generally, when you're going to go ahead and weaponize and armorize something like that, it's going to have all sorts of cool different details, and that one just doesn't come across as having any playability, besides the fact that it's going to be demoting the beam saber down to replace one of the side pockets there. It's actually on the body right now, and it just seems a little bit strange. The beam rifle there, you're not going to see it on this guy, but if you actually take a look on this guy, it's going to be incredibly heavy, and it is going to collapse, and it's not going to be able to stay in hand at all there. They try to account for some of that, I suppose, by having the bench wrist. That's going to be built into the plastic. It's not a choice. However, it's just going to come across as weak in hand, and even this one is just coming across as being a little bit weak, as it just wants to collapse in a downwards direction with the amount of gray plastic from the small one, so you can imagine the big one with the grenade launcher even worse. The grenade launchers on legs, well, I think they're going to look fantastic, but they're not necessarily going to be opening here. They're not going to have any action poses unless you want to have them very goofy up in the air, so they're going to come across as looking cool, just not that many play options. What about kneeling? Is that an option for you? That's why I've got the ground Gundam out here, or the Easy 8 in terms of comparison. Yeah, you can get him on the ground for a pose, but Bandai didn't show him off that way, and he's going to come across as a little bit awkward and splayed. And considering that this is a 2011 kit for the first Jesta, and 2013, we're not that far removed from the ground Gundam in the Easy 8, so you'd think that you could get him in a few cooler ground poses, because that's the kind of thing you just want to throw the arms up on the shoulders and let go of the big guns. However, I think the biggest knock against this kit is just going to be the fact that the cannons have no mobility side to side. And that means, yes, you can have the head looking left and right, and you can have the beam rifle shooting left and right, but no matter what you're going to do, whatever way the torso is facing is going to be the way that the cannons are going to be facing. And it just comes across as a little bit strange in some of the poses, and you'll have to design your poses around that instead of actually having the plastic take you where you want to be. Will that be fixed on a master grade, or is that a part of the design? We will find out soon. Finally, feel free to ignore this one if it doesn't apply to you in any way, shape, or form, but there is precedent when we see things like the high-grade Universal Century Gelgoog and the Gelgoog Cannon, that if you're just going to be adding on a little bit extra plastic, oh, let's say about 400 yen worth, as we've got in this case, well, they could have bumped that figure up by 100 or 200 yen, and actually given you the ability here with the Jesta Cannon to go either way, whether you want to go regular Jesta or cannon. And it's the kind of thing that's just going to come across as something of a tease. I very carefully kept these extra X'd out parts because you notice that you've got pretty much everything that you need, it would seem, to make up two of them, as you're going to have one leg, one set of shoulders, one set of hand grenades, and it seems like you've almost got everything, and they're just going to be skimping out on one part in the end. So anyway, it would have been nice, I figured, if you're just going to go out and spend 2,000, 2,000, and 1,600, and you've got the option of having two Jestas, one cannon, as we saw animated, or you could also go one Jesta and two cannons. It just seems like you're getting 4 for 3. If they had given you that option, they are going to be giving it to you. You just have to put up with a gray neck. It just seems like it's the kind of thing where they didn't have to do it this way, although, to be fair, the cannon wasn't revealed when the Jesta was originally animated. And the final complaint, which is going to be funny, perhaps to me only, but when you've got one pilot for one mobile suit here, generally you're going to have something on the side of the box, something in the manual. A picture of the dude in the anime just sitting there looking all tough, and instead, watch Stephanie, completely ignored. Yes, you have to wonder about his place in the Gundam UC Pantheon. But are there positives? Oh my, how the answer is yes. First of all, you've got to go back to the original Jesta. If you liked the original Jesta with its posability and looks the way it is, well, what are you adding here? You're adding 2 new colors. and a whole bunch of new weapons. And not just that, but they're going to be giving you the old school weapons so that you still can put on the shield. You can still put in the regular beam rifle. You can still go with the single beam saber. Whatever you want to do, besides alternate between the regular Jesta and the cannon, you're going to be able to take the original and again just turn it up, perhaps past 11 in terms of damage, if you can get past Wet Stepney. Anyway, I just love so many aspects of this kit. The posability, yes, it's going to be limited, but you know what? It's good enough if you can get past the lack of ground poses there. And working your way up for the weapons, look at the looks down here. The fact that you're getting these little tiny gray color wraps there on the knees, also up at the top of the sides, and the hand grenades down there for the grenade launchers, looking great. And the play options that you get here, you've got two gray ones with different colored grenades on the inside. You've also got the old school blue one, if you don't mind color asymmetry there, and you've got a beam saber option. So you've got 4 different side skirts that you can swap on and off. Ignore the X's, please, when you're putting them all together there. And then you've got the front skirts there, which I think look great because those can often be ignored when you're armoring somebody up. Just add on some cool gray parts there, no problem. And how about those shoulders? Not on this guy, but on the other two. I think they look great. The large seals over there are not going to be taking away from anything, but just those cool looking semi-hexagons there, which are looking sort of funky, and the ability to put a little bit of lining in there. Again, the light gray and the dark gray, or the lighter or darker gray, if you want to put it that way, look fantastic. And finally, how about the cannons? I think they look great from the back, they look great from the side, they look great from the front. The fact that you're going to have the big guns there and they're going to be hollowed out, and then you've got the details like that little white color wrap down there, or the whitish color wrap there, and the repeating 4, I think it looks fantastic. 90-degree bends is more than you'd expect. Up and down, maybe they could have gone 180 if you want to do something silly over the back of the head there. But the fact that they don't turn, is that going to bother you? Because most of the time you'd think that he'd be looking where he's firing. And finally, how about that big beam rifle? If you don't like it, well, just go back to the regular one. But the fact is, it is a monster. I love the Unicorn Gundam and his beam magnum, but this one has to be up there in terms of just intimidation and oomph. And the fact that you can take this back part here and open it up for an open or closed position, the fact that it's got a simple seal on there, there are just so many play options with this guy. If you can get past the fact that he doesn't have the white missiles there, throw the shield on, throw the regular one on, and then you've got a hybrid between the two and send out this very, very cool looking team. You can guess that all of this is going to be getting an incredibly positive overall verdict for me. First of all, I just love the old school throwbacks. Jim and Jim Cannon, Zaku Cannon, taking anything and putting a big gun over his right shoulder, why not? Especially when you consider that we have the gun cannon and the gun tank running around doing their thing. In this case, you're going to be putting 2 of them on. Does it capture the power of the anime? Well, I'd say, well, what did you think of his turn in the anime? I'd say more so than that, it just captures the ultimate. Remember that this is coming from a non-grunt buyer normally out here. The Jesta just totally impressed me, both in high-grade Universal Century and now master-grade form here. And the cannon is going to take a great design, add more colors, add more weapons, add more play, and shooting and coolness options. So if you love the Jester, I think you'll love the cannon just as much, if not more. And especially if you want to go out there and do all 3, the TriStars are designed to make you want to do that. And Bandai, how you succeeded. So the verdict is you may be spending more money than you initially planned when you first saw this MS design, unless you immediately read into Tri and said, well, I will need 3. So for future speculation, where can you go from here? Well, from high grade, I think you can only go up in size and up in grade up to master grade. Having just put together the master grade Jesta there, an absolutely incredible kit fixes many of the problems that, as you'd expect from the high grade Universal Century. But this one, clearly, from start to finish, from the plates and the way that they're all laid out, and the fact that he's got these parts here so you can bend them up and swap it on and put on the gray front armor there, there is going to be a master grade Jesta. It's just a matter of when. What about that? Could we be getting a real grade? Perhaps we'd have to wait 15 years for it. But nonetheless, just having the option of getting these guys for a reasonable 1,600 and 2,000 and 4,000, and what do you think it'll be, 5 for that? Anyway, it just seems like if you want 3 on your shelf or even 6, Bandai has made that easy and appealing. But ultimately, that's just me, so I'd love to hear your thoughts on the appearance of the cannon in the anime, and what do you think is going to be happening in episode 7 with it? Does it make you want to rush out and buy? Would you buy 2 cannons? Would you buy 1 Jesta? Would you buy 2 Jestas and 1 cannon, as is pretty normal? Would anybody go as far as going 3 cannons back there? What about for master grades? What kind of combination? And is this going to make me want to get the labels on there? And then perhaps do the same thing with the black TriStars? How about you? I'd love to hear your thoughts with a comment down below. Anyway, everybody, lots of fun putting this kit together, so I hope that you enjoyed the review as well. And please stick around for lots more news, reviews, and everything else you can use. Thanks for watching. See ya. Dude, I'm telling ya, one of you should be getting into a HGUC Cannon. Why didn't you think of that earlier? 30 years earlier.